Hi everyone, it's Sandy, and in today's video I'm going to share with you all my most anticipated book releases for the first half of the year, so between the months of January to May. I haven't had time to film this video until now, so this video is going up a bit later than other people's videos. Because of that, some of my anticipated January releases have already come out, but nonetheless I'm still excited about every single book that I'm going to be talking about. I do have quite a handful of books to talk about, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go in chronological order, starting with the month of January. My first anticipated release for January is Unearthed by Amy Kaufman and Meagan Spooner. These authors are the same author for the Starbound trilogy. I've only read These Broken Stars and I haven't continued on with that trilogy yet, but based on the premise of this book, I'm really excited to read it. This story revolves around a scholar and a thief who are dispatched to infiltrate an alien temple in order to save Earth. Other than that, the book has also been described as being Indiana Jones in space, so if that interests you, then you should definitely pick this book up. This book has already came out. It came out on January 9th of 2018. My next anticipated release is Love, Hate, and Other Filters by Samira Ahmed. This is an Own Voices debut following an Indian-American Muslim teen named Maya. Maya is torn between her parents' expectations of going to college and being paired off with another Muslim boy, or her dreams of going to film school and living in New York City. But then a terrorist attack occurs, and the attacker shares the same last name as Maya, and because of that, Maya is confronted with a lot of Islamophobia. I can't wait to read this book, and it comes out on January 16th. My next anticipated release is Truly Devious by Maureen Johnson, and this is actually a book that I didn't hear about until recently. Like, I found out about it yesterday, and I immediately added it to my list of anticipated releases for the year. This book takes place at a private school called Ellingham Academy. When the school first opened in the early 20th century, the wife and daughter of the founder of the school was actually kidnapped, and the only clue that was left behind was a letter that was signed Truly Devious. This case became one of the greatest unsolved crimes in American history. So many years later, this book now follows Stevie, who is going into her first year at Ellingham Academy. She is described as this true crime aficionado, and she is determined to solve this case. But then something strange has happened. Truly Devious has basically made a comeback, and death has revisited Ellingham Academy. I love reading mystery and thriller books, so every time I hear of a new one coming out, I'm immediately intrigued. This book has already came out. It also came out on January 16th. Those are basically all of my anticipated releases for January, and now I'm going to move on to February. The first one is Immortal Reign by Morgan Rhodes. This is the sixth and final book to the Fallen Kingdom series, a series that I really enjoyed reading. I know that not a lot of people like the Fallen Kingdom series. There's a lot of mixed reviews on it, but I belong to the group of people who really enjoyed the series, and since this is the sixth and final book, I can't wait to see how it ends. I really love the cover of this book as well, and this book has been pushed back a couple months. I believe it was originally supposed to come out at the end of 2017. I'm very excited to see how the story wraps up and what happens to all the characters. This book comes out February 6th. Another anticipated release that is coming out February 6th is The Bells by Dhonielle Clayton. The main character in this book is known as a belle. Bells are revered and they have the ability to control beauty. Beauty is seen as a commodity, and in this world people are born gray and bells have the ability to make them beautiful, and the queen asks the main characters to use her powers in unintended ways, and that is all I want to know about the story. I read Dhonielle Clayton's Tiny Pretty Things duology that she co-wrote with another author, and I really look forward to reading something that she wrote on her own. Now I'm going to move on to the month of March. The first anticipated release in March is Restore Me by Tahereh Mafi. This is the fourth book in the Shatter Me series. As many of you know, Shatter Me is no longer a trilogy. There are going to be 3 more books to the series, so it's going to be a 6-book series, and the first one, Restore Me, is coming out on March 6th. Since it is the 4th book, I'm not going to go into the synopsis of this, but from what I've heard, it basically picks up from where the last book ended off. Another March 6th release that I'm excited about is Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. This is the first book in a fantasy series that takes place in a world that is inspired by the author's West African heritage. All I know about the synopsis of this book is that magic has disappeared and the main character Zaylee is fighting to bring magic back to her people. My next anticipated release is called Barbed Wire Heart, and this is by Tess Sharpe. Tess Sharpe is the author of Far From You, which is one of my favorite books that I read in 2017. If you have not read that book, I highly recommend it. I didn't even know the author had a new book coming out this year until yesterday, so I was really excited to add this book onto my list. This book is described as a feminist thriller. It follows the only daughter in a rural crime family who makes their living by producing and selling meth. Since I love another book written by this author, I'm really excited to read more from this author, and this book also comes out on March 6th. My last anticipated release for the month of March is Obsidio by Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. This is the third and final book in the Illuminae Files trilogy. Since this is the third book, I'm not going to go into the synopsis, but the first book is called Illuminae and it's amazing. I can't wait to see how the third book wraps up the whole story. I'm really nervous, but I'm also super excited. This book comes out on March 13th. Now I'm going to go into April. The first book is Dread Nation by by Justina, Ireland. This book is described as a reimagining of the Reconstruction era in America in a world where the Civil War is interrupted by Union and Confederate soldiers rising from the dead. The main character is named Jane. She is biracial and is training to become an attendant at a school for Black and Native girls where she is able to learn how to kill the undead. The author describes this book as being a novel about friendship, survival, racism, and zombies. Can't wait to read it, and it comes out April 3rd. My next anticipated release is Leah on the Offbeat by Becky Albertalli. This book is basically a companion novel to Simon vs. the Homo sapiens agenda, but it follows Leah, who is one of Simon's best friend, and it takes place during their senior year of high school. Becky Albertalli has become an auto-read author for me, so I'll read whatever book she publishes. I'm so excited for this one and to learn more about Leah's character. This book comes out April 24th. And the last month of anticipated releases that I'm going to talk about is May. The first one is On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. Angie Thomas is the author of The Hate U Give, which is another one of my favorite reads of 2017. The synopsis on this book on Goodreads is very short and very vague. All I know is that it takes place in Garden Heights, which is the same setting in The Hate U Give, and it follows an aspiring teen rapper. The Hate U Give was phenomenal, and I look forward to reading another book by Angie Thomas. This book comes out on May 1st. My next anticipated release is The Way You Make Me Feel by Maureen. This author is the same author as I Believe in a Thing Called Love, which is one of my favorite books of 2017. So since she does have a new book coming out in 2018, I obviously had to include it in this video. This book takes place during the summer, and it follows our main character Clara, who ends up having to work at a food truck. This book is about falling in love, new friendships, and finding yourself, and it sounds like it'll be such a cute and adorable read, and I'm so pumped for it. I love the cover of this book as well, and it comes out on May 8th. My next anticipated release is called The Brightsiders by Jen Wilde. Jen Wilde is the author of Queens of Geek, which is another one of my favorites of 2017. The synopsis for this book is pretty vague, but it is a YA contemporary, and it follows a teen drummer who recently came out as bisexual. I believe she's also a famous teen drummer as well, because the synopsis mentions paparazzi in Hollywood, and this book comes out May 22nd. And the very last anticipated release for the first half of the year is Furyborn by Claire Legrand. This is the first book in a fantasy series following two women who live in different centuries, and they have the power to either save the world or doom it. There is a prophecy of a pair of queens. The first queen is a queen of light and salvation, and the second queen is a queen of blood and destruction. The first main character is Riel, and she accidentally exposes her ability to perform all 7 kinds of elemental magic, and the only people who are able to perform this type of magic are the queens who are prophesied. In order for her to prove what type of queen she is, she has to go through all these trials, and if it is found out that she is the queen of blood and destruction, she will be executed. And the second main character is named Eliana. She lives 1,000 years after Riel. So in this time period and where she lives, the story of Riel is seen as just a fairy tale. In the city that Eliana lives in, countless of women are disappearing, including her own mother, and in order to find her mother, Eliana joins this rebel captain on a dangerous mission. This book sounds so good. I can't wait to read it and see how these two stories intersect with one another. I love reading stories like that, and this book comes out May 22nd. So those are all of my anticipated releases for the first half of the year. If you are anticipating any of these books, let me know in the comments below, and if there's a book that you're anticipating that I didn't mention, please let me know about that in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. Bye!